Keep an eye on the waiting room.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our last Zoom meeting before our very first regional. My name is Craig Peterman, volunteer with BadgerBots, and this evening we have the entire Brain Trust with us. We've got our two head judge advisors, Brian Farrell, Brian Hicks, as well as our two head referees, state head referees, Jay Church and Allison Conrad. So we also have the tournament directors for the upcoming regionals this coming Saturday. We have West Salem and we have Franklin going on this coming Saturday. Let me just take care of a few quick administrative issues, and then I'm going to pass the mic on to our tournament directors. First of all, real quickly, Explore teams, Explore coaches. If you're watching this video, there is registration open for you. The link is in the newsletter that you got today. And in fact, we're going to send out another email just to Explore coaches tomorrow so that you guys definitely see that the registration is open. And it will remain open as long as we have Explore events, Explore festivals still on the calendar. All right. Real quickly for new teams, uh, you do not need to bring your field sets and mission sets to the tournaments. We will have the competition tables, of course. We will also have 4 to 6, possibly 8 at the larger tournaments. We'll see. Practice tables. And so please do not bring your own sets. You don't need to. Um, Importantly, as you get the communications from your tournament directors, we are asking that every team either provide their roster from the firstinspires.org website. As a coach, you log in and your dashboard, you can find that one-page summary of your team. It should have the coaches, any other contacts that you've registered, including the administrator, and then, of course, all the kids that are on the team. So it is very important that you get that to the tournament director either before the event via email or bring a hard copy to the event. Thank you for taking care of that. Some coaches have actually emailed their roster, and what we need is the official roster from firstinspires.org that shows everybody has gone through the proper training, at least the adults, and then all the kids have their parental consent and release electronically. If you are having issues with that, please contact me directly, fllteams@badgerbots.org, and we will work through the process or go to a manual process if necessary. All right. Otherwise, we still have a handful of teams that are not event ready, and that means you need to have 2 coaches registered at firstinspires.org. Both coaches have to go through the YPP training, and then your team will become event ready. There is no exception to this rule. If the team is not event ready the morning of the event, the team will not be able to participate. So fortunately, we're down to only about 20 or so teams that fall into that category. Hopefully, we won't be scrambling the night before your event. And then finally, of course, is the payment. The team entry fee is $175. You can pay online at the link in today's newsletter or any of the newsletters in the last 3-4 weeks. Those of you that got invoices and checks are coming, that's fine. It's going to be in various stages of progress, but you will continue to get reminders from me if we haven't received it. So just something else to keep on your list. All right. Um, that's it for me for now. And so what I'd like to do is then pass the mic over to Peggy Miracle, who is our tournament director from West Salem, happening this coming Saturday. Peggy, all yours.
Hi, we're excited. We're welcoming 10 teams to West Salem Middle School on Saturday. Doors will open at 7:30. We should have the schedules out late Wednesday, early Thursday. We're expecting judging and things like that to start around 8 o'clock. We'll have concessions available from the local FRC team, and I think it'll just be a fun day.
Are there any questions from the coaching audience for Peggy? You should all have her email anyway, right? I've seen the emails flowing from Peggy, so all the teams, all the coaches should know how to reach her if need be. All right. Well, then let's move right along. We've got Josh Hanson hosting the Franklin Regional. Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Greg. Hi, everybody. Uh, Thank you for letting me speak here tonight. First off, just congratulations on making it to this far in the season and for your first competition. Extra shout out to any rookie coaches and rookie teams out there. Like, you're in for a real treat here with these first competitions here. So please enjoy. I know it's a long day. Might seem a little intimidating, but we're here to make sure that you're having a great time. And yeah, hopefully first round of emails got to your teams or your contacts. I basically any email that was associated with your team, I copied them on it. So if you didn't get it, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll make sure you are copied on subsequent emails. Pretty similar to how we've done this tournament in the past. So doors open at 8 at Franklin High School. Looking to get the party started around 9:15 or so with the judging and the robot rounds. For any new teams here, we do have a practice round on the official robot tables, on the official robot fields, not on the practice tables. So it's a real good chance to run through your missions, see how the competition field reacts, get to hear from the refs directly of how things might score. It might be a little bit different from your sets at home. Hopefully it's not too different. But the tables and the robots they get stage fright too. So we will have lunch provided. Again, concessions provided by the FRC team here in Franklin. Pretty affordable, so feel free to grab some stuff. And we will have a bake sale as well. So lots of sugary treats too to help you get through the long day. And yeah, then towards the end, we'll get into our closing ceremonies where we'll do a nice big team parade, celebrating all the teams that competed. We'll give a couple teams a chance to perform their innovation projects in front of the whole crowd to, give everybody a sense of what the challenge was this year and what some of the unique innovative solutions were. And then we'll give out some awards and move into the advancement. So we'll have 17 teams, and we will be advancing 6 of them this year to our next sectional. So hopefully more information to come on the schedule and everything else later this week, hopefully by Wednesday at the latest. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Craig, how'd I do? Any questions in the chat or questions from the teams?
Nothing in the chat, but anything for the coaches on the call? Any questions for Josh?
Yep, if not, feel free to reach out. If there's any last minute team name changes, get those in as soon as possible. If anybody has any accessibility needs with elevator access, we are on two different levels. I had that in my first email blast, but yep, just feel free to reach out and we will accommodate and make your day great. So thank you all.
All right, great. Thanks, Josh. So just a general comment that Josh alluded to, that's with regards to the day of schedule. And so again, those that have gone through this process multiple times, you have an understanding, but this is more towards newer and rookie coaches. The actual schedule of the day will not likely come out until Wednesday, possibly Thursday before the event. The reason for that is really quite simple. There's always changes going on, some last minute changes. We might have some volunteers that drop out. We might have to change judging panels. It's better to wait until as close as possible so that we don't have multiple schedules floating around, because that inevitably will create a lot of chaos. So thank you for understanding why you don't have the schedule 2 weeks beforehand. It just is not very efficient to do that. So like I said, they'll be out Wednesday or Thursday before the event. And even in that case, there still may be some changes, but hopefully they will be minor of nature and won't interrupt the overall day. In general, the day for an event, a challenge event, starts at 8 o'clock roughly, doors open. And depending on the size of the tournament, you should be out of there by 4:30, somewhere in that range. Smaller tournaments should get out even earlier than that. So that's for those of you that have busing schedules to work with. That's the general time frame. And then the specifics will come out a day or two before the event. So, all right. Peggy and Josh, thanks again for stepping up and for doing what you guys do. Let's any questions from the coaches on the call? All right, let's pass it on to our head judge advisors, Brian and Brian. What you guys got for us today?
Brian, did you have something?
I'm checking to see if there are any updates. But
Yeah, I
I
didn't
forgot
check.
to.
There was no updates.
Yeah. Okay.
So no challenge updates. I guess the thing that I would remind people is, it's kind of a stressful day, so make sure, have the kids, to get some downtime, bathroom breaks and food appropriate before they're judging and before the robot matches, so they're not, needing to go to the bathroom during those events, things like that. If you do have kids with any issues that you want to bring up, health or whatever, to let the judges know, or the refs, that's fine. Get that to your tournament director, and so we can make the judges aware of it, the refs, as appropriate.
Mr. Hicks, anything to add or no?
Oh, I think he covered it.
Okay. All right. Allow me to add just a couple items that came to mind. We did ask all the tournament directors to have a quiet room, sensory room. So it's not a requirement, but it's a strong desire. Hopefully they will be able to do so, assuming they have the capacity and facility to do so. So make sure if that's an issue or something that you need, you ask the tournament director beforehand. And then something that Brian just alluded to, if you have kids on your team that have serious anxiety issues or something that could otherwise be construed as, non-core like behavior, please let the tournament director or the judge advisor know ahead of time. We don't want to be penalizing any teams because of, certain circumstances. So please make sure you get that communicated to the appropriate people before the event. All right.
Okay. There was a question that came in over chat. And it's, are there any restrictions about what teams are allowed to bring into the judging rooms with them? One coach was asking if they're allowed to bring a speaker with a microphone and a TV to plug in somewhere and use during their presentation. So each tournament is going to be a little bit different. We try to tell the teams that we'll try to supply at least some type of table. It could even be a desk that they could put their boards up on, but there's no guarantee that there'll be electrical outlets nearby. So that's one thing that, if you are going to bring that stuff, you can bring that in. The one thing that we do request is when coming into the room, it is up to the students to bring all that information in or bring all the things that they're going to use to present. They have to bring that in. And also when they leave, they need to take it out of the room. There depends on the school. Outlets might be nearby. There might not be any nearby. If you need internet access, there's not always guaranteed to have internet access either. Brian, anything else to add?
Yeah, the good thing is, as he said, the kids should bring it in. It's not just bring it in, they should set it up as well. So, don't have them carry it in and then you hook it all up for them or something like that. The kids should be able to do that. And we do recommend practicing it.
I was just going to add that, yes.
You only get the 2 minutes at the beginning for, your introduction setup time. And after that, it really gets taken out of the rest of the interview judging time.
And like Brian was saying, practice. I would also practice with them. What happens if it doesn't work? How do they transition? Don't waste a lot of time. So have a backup in case it doesn't work.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's pretty safe to say that every room, every panel will have at least a table for the teams to put their trifold on.
Yeah,
At least,
it can be a table. Sometimes it's just a desk too. So it's not guaranteed a 4x8 table.
Another thing for new coaches to keep in mind, not and normally when the the parents and coaches are allowed in the room, that's fine. Uh, as long as the venue has room for it. Do not expect to be behind the judges so you can get to see what's going on. We'll have the kids facing the judges. The team will face the judges. Oftentimes the entourage will be off to the side, not behind the judges. So think of it as the team here, the judges here, the parents and entourage off to the side. So they won't necessarily get a straight on view for it. It's optimized for the kids working with the judges.
And so, Brian and Brian, I had a question the other day. I just want to make sure I steered them in the correct direction. So the question to me was, when the kids come into a room and they're setting stuff up, the question was, do they wait until we get set up and then start our timer for the session, right? And I told them, if I remember correctly, the timer starts when you walk in the door. So is that?
That is correct.
Okay. Very
Yes.
good.
So I'll just splash this up on the screen, is the flow chart. Put this off to the side. Share. Okay. So at this point, you should see the judging session flow chart on the screen. Let me make it a little bit wider. Is that big enough, or you guys need bigger?
I think that's good.
Okay. So what we're talking about is when the team, basically before this team enters, we'll have the parents and the entourage, coaches, friends, family, things like that, come in, get seated, and then we have the team come in. When the team goes through the door is when the clock starts. It'll be setting up and stuff. The judges will probably be talking to them as well, welcoming them, verifying the team name and number, asking some softball questions like how long have you been on the team, things like that. Just starting to get to know the team a little bit, and the judges kind of introducing themselves as well. Who they are, where they work, what kind of career they have, and then they'll transition when the team's ready into the innovation project presentation, where the team will do their presentation. It is a 5-minute presentation. If they start to go long, the judges will kind of let them wrap up a thought or whatever, but at some point they can't let them go too long because they need to get into the question and answer, start getting answers to the questions they have that came up. And then after the question and answer time is done, they will transition into robot design. Notice there's not a specified time for that. When you come in, when we're switching over, we'll just kind of say, that's all the questions we have. Right now we're going to switch over to robot design, and that's when that's their cue to start going on the robot design explanation. So don't, anytime if you spend like 3 minutes getting ready for that comes out of your team explanation for your robot design. So, you want to be efficient on that time. And then we switch them over at the end of the 5 minutes into the question and answer for robot design. If either of these go short, like innovation project, you're a little bit short in time, or the robot design, if you go short in time, the judges will fill that in with questions. We kind of treat the innovation project and innovation project question and answer as a 10-minute block, and the robot design questions as a 10-minute block. But that's, we don't want to go into the question and answer part with your presentations, because the judges will have a bunch of answers, the questions that they want to get answered, to make sure that they can fill out the rubric appropriately. And then they'll transition to the final sharing feedback. The teams can choose to share some final thoughts. Our recommendation is to keep it short. There might be something you remembered that you missed in your presentation or clarifying, additional information on an answer. The judges may have some questions to get some clarification on, and then they'll provide some verbal feedback to the team. So don't expect to use up this 8 minutes for your team. You can take a minute or two of that if you have things you want to present, but otherwise the judges will ask clarifying questions and then give you feedback. The team will leave the room. We do ask that people leave promptly because the judges have to do their paperwork. So they'll work on the filling out the rubrics once the team leaves. So we need to have the room, empty as soon as possible so we can get judges working on the rubrics. Miss anything, Brian?
The only thing I would add is, so when you come into the room, please make sure, coaches, you tell the family members and all that, they need to be there on time. That's part of the reason that what Craig was alluding to also is we want to make sure the schedule that goes out is as accurate as can be, because once those doors close, no more spectators are allowed in once the students start presenting. So we want to make sure that, at least in Wisconsin, spectators are allowed in all the rooms. I know not every state does that, but that is one of the things that we do like because the students have put a lot of time into this. So we want to make sure that all the family members, grandma and grandpa, and that can actually get in there and see it.
And we do ask that they be quiet. We realize the judges are interacting with the students. We don't want any answers from what have been officially calling the entourage. So if they miss something, they miss something. It's up to them at that point. But we know they'll nail it. So
I had a question come up from one of my families here in Pewaukee. We have a couple of special needs kids on teams. Are parents or adult people able to redirect students, or is that, do we need to train or teach our teammates to help redirect students?
Are you talking
Clarify what
specifically
redirect
judging?
means?
Sorry, I'm at school and these kids are loud. I didn't hear the question.
My question was, can you specify what redirect means?
Okay, so a student that has tics or gets easily just starts walking off kind of thing. Can we redirect that? Can an adult redirect that student, or should we be training our students on the team to redirect that student?
And can I clarify just one more? I'm sorry. Are we talking
yep.
more specifically the judging area or the robot games?
Both.
Okay.
Specifically
Well, I
judging
won't speak
because
for the judges. They can handle their own stuff, but if you let us know, we know that there's a situation before you start, we can kind of deal with just about anything at the judging table. I mean, at the repping table, as long as,
Okay.
We're not having coaches coaching the team there, right? If you have to redirect one of your children, then we'll just let us know. We'll take care of it.
okay.
So,
Okay.
Same
And-
thing for the judges as, in the judging rooms, as Craig mentioned earlier, please let the tournament directors know so that they can inform the referees and the judges so that we can get that information out. So what other teams have done in the past is work with your students. If they start to see that, maybe have a question that one student could answer, and say, well, can you take this, to try and pull them back in? Now, I know that's not always possible. If it does get to a point where an adult needs to step in and you need to leave the room, that would be fine. If they're becoming, to the point where they're starting to lose it, we understand. Well, our job then as judges is to try and keep the rest of the team focused and keep them moving forward without much disruption.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, And if a kid, goes and sits down halfway through it or whatever, or is just like bouncing around or whatever, those are things that are actually pretty normal in the judging room. I'd be more worried if they get disruptive to the team to make sure you deal with it. Again, your team, the coaches on other teams, and if they feel it's appropriate to help redirect a student at that point, that's fine. It is helpful for us though to know ahead of time, kind of that we, especially the more extreme situations, what we're dealing
Yep.
with, so we can educate the judges, make sure we
Yep.
always tell them to give, to roll with things if the
Yep. So
the kid who bounces around and can't stand still, to the the overly talkative ones, to the whole thing. They've got some training around some of that.
We've seen
Yep,
a lot of stuff
so-
in the rooms, between the students getting sick, passing out. We try to, have the judges look for that so it doesn't become a problem, but
Yeah. So we will definitely identify at those particular regionals that we do have cases that could cause an adult to step in, but it would only be due to a meltdown or, the kids wigging out kind of thing. And a lot of the students have already like got into the rhythm of, hey, let's say Joe, focus kind of thing. But I'm worried there's a couple of them this year that I've even had trouble like in practice. So I just want to make sure that we're not doing anything wrong and that we shouldn't be doing any more
it's a long, stressful day.
practice.
We do understand that.
Okay.
No, also, you be sure they do let us know at the tables too, so we don't misinterpret something like that as bad behavior, because your core values is judged at the robot game.
Right.
So, like, we've literally
Gotcha.
had kids that will hit their brother or sister, and we don't know. And so, and Allison and I both kind of are on the same page there. We'll usually go to a coach and say, "Hey, is there a situation here that we didn't know about?" But if we know ahead of time, then
It's
we
easier.
can.
It helps.
We don't want everybody's personal business, right? So you don't have to come tell us, this kid has this and that. But if it's something that's going to be a known issue, or even if you see something and then after the match, just let us know, hey, this kid has, some.
Yep. I gotcha. Thank you very much.
Yep. Right. Thank you, Brian and Brian. Let's move on to our state head referees, Jay and Allison.
Anything,
What do you guys
Allison?
got for us?
Hi. All right. So we had 2 questions come through on the official referee channel. I did check that there were no other updates or anything else.
Yeah,
I
I
think
did
we
too.
just have these 2 to go through tonight. So, Jay, how about I read out the questions and then you can give the answers to them? Does
Yeah,
that
I'm
work?
going to paraphrase some of that
Oh, no.
long one, because, there's a book on there, but.
All right.
Go ahead.
Let's tackle the first one and go from there.
Yep.
So, we're using a color sensor on our robot. We're having issues where sometimes the robot is not seeing the color we intend. Can we have a laptop at the board in pre-match to verify that the color sensor is behaving properly?
And the answer is you cannot. So the robot game rule book tells us exactly what you are allowed to have at the table and exactly what you are not, right? It's on page 14 of the robot game manual. Everything, all the equipment that a team brings to the robot field, such as a robot and its attachments, must meet the following guidelines. All equipment must be Lego building pieces in original factory condition. A laptop is not. A tablet is not. They may also have, well, the exception is they may have a piece of notebook paper for each area. That is the only thing that you may bring to the table with you. So you cannot bring tablets, you cannot bring laptops. I understand. We understand the calibration thing. We get it, right? There are ways to do what you want to do. Seek out advice, help from coaches or other people. So there are definitely ways for you to calibrate stuff like that, but we can't bend the rules for that, right?
All right. So the second question that we're going to get into a little bit longer here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to paraphrase a bit
Yeah.
on the situation.
Yeah.
So generally the question revolves around destruction of models, specifically Rule 18, which states that teams may not separate dual lock, break models, tear them apart. Points scored in these ways will not count. The scenario specifically cited from Unearthed was that a team successfully cleared the soil deposits on Mission 1 surface brushing. Then later in the match, the robot went berserk and obliterated the mission model. How do we handle situations like that as referees?
Okay. So I just want to point out that I'm sorry, I was looking at a second part for that as well. So we assessed the mission model damage, and I'm kind of reading from my answer to him. There's a lot of stuff going on here, right? So part of his question was, how do you guys keep track of, what's broken, what's not? How do you score this or that? And the simple answer is we don't keep track of it. So we're very lenient as far as across the country on mission model damage. There are places that literally say if one little lug breaks off of a mission model, you get 0 points for it no matter what. Okay. We tend to be a little bit more lenient, thinking, hey, what if the team before that might have whacked this mission model? We didn't catch it. It wasn't reset properly or something falls off, right? So we go by the verbiage of if breaking the mission model makes it possible or easier to score the mission, we do not give you points for it. That also applies to breaking a different mission model. Specifically, the situation I've seen is coming up the side of the home on the blue side,
Blue side.
and whacking into the silo, knocking that little wing off to go get the heavy lifting mission, right? So if you break the silo in order to go get the heavy lifting, you're still breaking a mission model in order to make scoring easier. So you will not get points for that. Okay. So that being said, my answer is we assess mission model damage with the standard of, as I said, if damage makes it possible or easier to score, no points. Okay. Secondary to this, a robot can unscore a mission. Whatever the robot does, it does. If you score a mission, you score 5 missions, robot goes crazy and unscores those missions, they stay unscored. So the robot has autonomy to do what it does. Okay. As I said, the mission, all scoring conditions are determined at the end of the match. So if the robot unscores, at the end of the match, it's unscored. The only thing we need to see, that we need to keep track of, so to speak, is the mine cart going through the mine shaft. That's a visible requirement that we have to see happen.
Mhm.
Okay, there's a little follow-up, blah, 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 blah. Okay, as I explained, so there is this is a very edge case situation they're talking about. So basically, what happens if they break the model, but it's still in a scoring condition? It's scored at the beginning, right? It's still in a scoring condition at the end of the match after the robot slammed into it. Okay, so hypothetically, those what's it called? Sorry, Mission 1, the
soil deposits.
Yeah, the soil deposits. They can be broken off of the model and be on the table, right? And be in a scoring condition at the end of the match. So we don't allow something that's that much damage, right? There's a big difference in a robot ran into a mission model and knocked it off the dual lock, or the robot plowed it over, completely destroyed it, and it just happens to be in a scoring condition when we're done. And so my argument there is the robot can unscore things. And in that situation, the robot damaging the model made it easier to score or less capable to unscore. Okay, so that's my whole philosophy there. I know it's kind of
Generally speaking, please don't trash the
well,
models.
and so that was so my final
It makes it harder for us to give you consistent scoring.
my
these
final
situations.
comment to him was, if you have a robot that's smashing stuff and it's more than an anomaly, I suggest you figure a simpler, gentler way to score the missions. And do remember, we are aware that these models are fragile. We get it, but that's part of the game, right? Everything, just because a mission model breaks easily doesn't mean it's a mission model failure. They break easily, so it's up to you guys to figure out a way to take that challenge and run with it. So don't assume because a mission model broke because it's fragile. That is the game we have. Everything's not going to be mission model damage. So
Tangentially related to that, if you're okay, Jay.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Something else we noticed at the scrimmages. So certain models have more issues with jamming or having issues after runs than others. Specifically, I've noticed that Mission 1 surface brushing and I think it's Mission 8, the silo, are two that see a lot of physical abuse by teams just in how they are scored. And those models can be very finicky. So something I would recommend to your teams is that you are allowed to have your students ask your table referee, hello, can you please check to make sure that this mission is behaving as intended? Because what is going to be very frustrating for referees and teams is they go up, do their run, and the brush is jammed, and the mission doesn't work right, and everything else after that has issues because of it. That's not fun for anybody, even awarding benefit of the doubt. So especially this year, if you know that you're going for one of those missions that is a little bit on the fragile side, I'd recommend having your kids ask for the referees to check it before the match, not after.
We're going to make it a part of at least I will. We're going to make it part of our field reset. The silo is really the big one here. So every time a field gets reset, I'm going to ask our guys to, as Amy Hardy says, give it a good hug, give it a little squeeze, every time it's reset. So we actually had pretty good luck with that. I mean, once the mission was working properly, right? So once it was built properly, competition tables, now practice tables are a different story because they're not really monitored that closely, but competition tables, we had pretty good luck, if they're being reset and, give it a good squeeze once in a while, it's worked pretty well for us.
Yeah, but it's hard to say how, like when tournaments can get crazy, things can get missed. It's a long day.
Yep.
It's just good practice to remind each other that we should check in on these things as much as we reasonably can to avoid as many of these situations as possible.
So I just want to go over a couple things. I'm not going to take up everybody's time, but a couple things I saw at scrimmage that is still happening a lot because I've been to 3 now. Just some things, and tournament is a couple days. So you cannot bring laptops and tablets to the table. If you don't know how to push your programs to your robot, you need to learn it because there's no exceptions at the competitions, right? You can have your laptop and tablets at the practice tables, not at the tournament. When you hit the tournament tables, including your practice round on the tournament tables, the scheduled practice round on the tournament tables, that is like a competition round. You cannot have your tablet and laptops there. Okay. That second, we're still getting a lot of kids that are trying to hand the robot across to the other side. We have we've posted everywhere. There's the tips from the rep on the BadgerBots webpage. I would advise you guys to go check that stuff out. We kind of tell you guys how you can efficiently get your robot from one side to the other. I don't need to go over it every time here, but you cannot pick up your robot from your red side and move it to the blue or blue to the red. There are ways to do it. There's processes there. The other thing I saw, have your kids please understand that there's a process when you come to the robot game table. Brian, do you have, do you have 15 available? Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot there. And this is probably the last one I'm going to go through. What's that? Thank you. I knew you'd have it already. Oh, I'm sorry, page 15.
Well, I can get there too.
No, my bad.
Just got to figure which way 15 is from there.
Yeah. Okay. So, when you first hit the robot game table, we don't want you guys to start putting together attachments. We don't want you guys to start separating your equipment from one side to the other. There's a process that we have to follow. Okay. This is kind of two parts. So the first thing that we want you to do is inspect your robot, and your robot has to be inspected first. So if you start putting your attachments and stuff on, you may not fit in the area. I had questions yesterday about the inspection. Some teams thought that you could inspect in both areas and get the bonus. So if you want to get your inspection bonus, it's all of the equipment that you're going to use in the match in one area, red or blue, under 12 inches. Okay. So the first thing we're going to ask you to do before anything else. So coaches, please remind your team, don't start putting your stuff together. Don't start testing sensors. There's a time for that. First thing we do, inspection. Okay. Takes a couple seconds to do unless it's a huge robot. And then we'll say, okay, you're done. After you inspect, if you look at number 10 on page 15, right where you are, Brian, once a team has passed inspection, now here is where you start distributing your equipment and putting together your attachments, testing your sensors, stuff like that. Okay. So we need to get through these steps before we can start. And then the next thing we're going to ask for you guys is give us a thumbs up when you're ready to go. And that tells us we're ready to launch our robot. Okay. So specifically, inspection, then the couple minutes to distribute, put together, calibrate your sensors. There's a time and a place for that, and it's after the inspection. Saves a lot of time if we get it done. And that's all I wanted to go over specifically. I've seen those quite a bit, but thank you, Brian.
Sure.
Anything else you want to share? Oh, Allison, there was a glitch in the FLL tournament software. If you guys are using that for scoring, we will not be using that for scoring at tournaments this season. Just so everybody knows, we're going to a different system there. But if you are using that for scoring at your practices, the glitch was a mine cart.
It was the mine cart.
Do you remember specifically?
Yes, you could award the bonus without the initial condition being met.
Okay.
Because it specifically states bonus, which should happen is that you have to do the first part of sending your mine cart over before you can get the bonus of receiving a mine cart. For whatever reason, tournament wasn't acknowledging that, which led to some confusing scoring conditions of the scrimmages. So not a big deal, just something to be aware of if you're using that.
So if you do that mission and our score doesn't seem to match your score, and you're like, we do this all the time, it could be something that you're doing on that software. It could be something. I'm not saying we can't score incorrectly. We certainly can. But if you're using that at your practices, there is a couple little scoring glitches in there. As a matter of fact, I think First actually has that contingency as well, not done correctly. Okay, so that's all I have. Michael says, especially the lever arm. I assume you're talking about the silo. Yes. Silo is the known problem child of the season. There are a couple others, but that's going to be our big one. The cogs that are in there are random set, just so you guys know. There is no specific blue goes in first or last. Okay.
I had a quick question on the forum.
Mm-hmm.
When delivering everything to it, if the robot is inside the oval, the line on the mat, is that considered touching the forum?
So each collectible, as my friend likes to call them, each thing that you're taking to the forum is judged independently from everything else. So if your robot is touching two of those collectibles inside the forum, those two items will not score. The other ones you have in will. So everything.
It wouldn't be touching any of the collectibles. It would just be inside. The robot would be inside the oval.
Yeah. So if you look at the no touch is for equipment touching the model. The oval itself, the spot on the mat, is not your mission model. And
nor the rocky outcrop
right,
on
to
the
that
outside
point,
of it. which
Oh,
is
oh.
confusing.
Right. That was the one right there. So
Sorry.
the statue rebuild, which is also in the oval, if you oddly enough.
Yeah, just
It's
start with the
confusing.
rocks first.
Yeah. So you have the two rocky outcrops on the perimeter of the circle, and then you have the statue rebuild mission that's on the circle. So the rocky outcrops are not part of the mission model. Your robot can touch those, and it won't negate points for that. So the only thing we're looking for is really each individual collectible touching the robot. The
We had to
statue,
get clarification on that one from
yeah, kind of
Big
weird.
Dogs upstairs.
Yeah, we
And
actually
it's
went to
not what I
first
would've
on that one.
guessed.
And oddly enough, the statue rebuild, which is inside the forum, if your robot is touching the statue rebuild mission, which is 13, you won't score for that mission because it's also a no touch, but it does not negate the points for the collectibles inside the forum. So
Awesome. Just want to make sure.
yep.
So as Jay was talking, I thought of two other things. One is a tournament day thing. Remember, it's a stressful time. Things go wrong. Robots don't behave like they're, operate on the same way on the practice tables or competition tables that they do at home. Just remember the kids do the work. Okay, you can coach them, you can talk to them, but don't be the coach that we have to have a conversation with about, you're programming the robot or anything overly that appears to be over coach involvement. So just be very careful of that. We're not asking you to be sneaky. We're just asking you to be upright about making sure the kids are doing the work.
Thank you to all the kids that came out last week. We had a great call, hour and a half of questions and answers with the
A lot of
kids.
really good questions.
A lot for the judges, which I was happy to see. Really good interactions. We appreciate all you guys, all you coaches for getting the information out to your kids to come hang out with us. So, good
And then
stuff.
there was one question in Slack this week for judges. Question is, I know this must have been asked before, but just want to understand, what is the rule or policy for team presentation with a missing member due to unforeseen schedule conflict with other commitment? Can the team be allowed to present? Would the team member be allowed to join this next level should the team qualify for sectionals? Okay, and this answer actually comes directly from the participation manual, which is really, yes, a team can present if they are missing a team member due to their absence at the tournament. If they are at the tournament, then they must participate in the judging session. When the participation rules, it says all team members attending an event must participate in the judging session and be present at the robot game matches. So if they're there, they need to be involved. If they happen to be sick or other family commitments or whatever, we understand that, and that the team will have to compensate.
Any other questions for anyone?
Okay. Yeah. Open it up to any questions then. And let's see. Okay, so we
Sure.
see Jenny's question in the chat. Yep.
Yep.
Stick around. That's
Yep,
fine.
no problem.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, generally speaking, then thank you all for participating this evening. Good luck to all the teams that are participating on Saturday in West Salem and at Franklin High School. And good luck to everybody else. Your regionals are coming up quickly.
I have one more. Sorry, it's kind of important. No, it's important, Allison. If there happens to be a rule update tomorrow or Wednesday, there is a moratorium on when we require you guys to be compliant with the update. So if a rule update happens to come out tomorrow and you're competing at Franklin or West Salem, we will not require you to change coding or anything to be compliant with the rule update. If it works in your favor to be compliant or not compliant, we'll rule with whatever's in your favor. That's all. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Good luck, everybody. Good night.